Hey guys, Andrew Cordick with iPost, talking today about email marketing metrics that matter. And for years, we as marketers, as email marketers, have looked for new and exciting ways to measure just how well our program is going. And so today is all about maybe changing the way that we think, maybe looking at different sort of metrics. But I want to start out with an image I think that really portrays what us as marketers tend to do when it comes to metrics. We tend to peacock when things are good. We tend to love to show people how well our email program is going, whether we show an open rate or a click-through rate or other metrics that we deem important to our organization. And I'm just as guilty of this as the next guy. I remember running email for Groupon and Sears and Kmart, and it's funny, I used to love to walk into meetings with these high numbers. But I want to take a step back for just a quick second, because while we're all guilty of peacocking, what I want to focus today on is looking at different ways around metrics. And the first thing what we need to do is talk about vanity metrics, what they mean, how they're not going to get you anywhere, because vanity metrics in and itself, they don't provide revenue. They don't provide value for revenue. They don't keep the lights on. They don't help you as a marketer get more budget to do things. Chances are you're probably looking at this or running email in an organization or wearing many different hats in an organization. And probably, I'm willing to guess that you are probably the most underfunded, underutilized, overworked, and probably don't have a huge innovation budget. So what I'd like you to do is just take the next couple of minutes, think about implementing some new metrics to really sort of maybe push the buttons of those on the business side to say, look, we provide a lot more value than I think that we have tended to show over the recent years. And so let's first of all define vanity metrics. A lot of people in the industry, love to talk about vanity metrics and use that term. And the way I think about vanity metrics is really simple. Vanity metrics make us feel good or feel bad about our program, about our year-to-date numbers. It's really easy to walk into a meeting with a 35%, and I'm using air quotes, open rate and a 6% click-through rate. But if the opposite were true, right? If you were talking about a 6% open rate, chances are you probably don't feel really good about that particular email, that particular program, that particular sort of life cycle journey that maybe you're putting through. So I think about vanity metrics as they make us feel good. They're directional. They go back and forth, but yet we keep talking about them. We keep saying things for the last 10 or 15 years. I know I have, that we keep preaching. Don't use these metrics going forward. Use them as directional, but yet sometimes we tend to make business decisions. So let me give you an example of what I consider to be a vanity metric. Now, let's bear in mind something here. I'm making this video at the end of June in 2021. There's been a lot of hubbub, lots of webinars and webcasts about Apple Mail's privacy protection that's coming out this coming fall. So when I use the term open rate, whether it's unique or total, I still have and will always consider open rate to be a vanity metric. We're not really entitled to figure out whether or not someone opened or read or did something because of an invisible tracking pixel. So think about this for a second. Push aside unique open rate. We don't know what's going to happen with Apple Mail's privacy protection. We really don't. And I've seen lots of articles, lots of different things saying it's the end of tracking. Lots of different things are happening. I've seen, things like Pixelgeddon from a webcast or a webinar. And really, I think the industry is once again overreacting to something that maybe is a long time coming. So refocus yourself from vanity metrics to program-centric metrics, because these really talk about campaigns. These really talk about your program health. It's no secret, unique or total click-through rate is a really good measure, but it measures a couple different things, not just perhaps maybe the click in itself, but where they are clicking on your content. Maybe they're clicking more because of your messaging or even how your CTAs look. So really focus on something like that. Look at reach. Look at a contact's performance over a 30-day period. Your email engagements counted once. What is your click reach on your campaigns over the last 30 days. You're going to get a little bit more insight when you think about that. Look at how long it takes for people to go inactive. Now, when we define inactive can define many different ways, right? In your organization, you could say it's 1 week or 30 days, 6 months, 18 months, depending upon what you are selling or what you're trying them to convert to do. But you really have to look at how long does it take somebody after they sign up to technically, quote unquote, go inactive, and then put programs in place. And that's a whole separate video that we're going to do about inactivity or intervention sort of programs. And then really look at your delivery and your deliverability. There is a unique difference, believe it or not, but look about reaching the inbox. This is all about the cleansing and the hygiene of your lists. And look how your deliverability metrics are going, not just overall, but break it down based off of your top domains. Look at your top 5 or 10 domains that you're sending to and ask yourself, how's the deliverability going? Is there a systematic problem? Are you being rate limited, or what really is the root of the problem? So just don't look at your overall deliverability numbers. And one of the things is that if you go from email program-centric metrics, we talked about this earlier, now translating it into business-centric, because the business folks, the CMOs and the VPs of the world like to translate whatever we're talking about on the marketing side into business value. What do people think about our email program? Track sentiment. Looking at how people, I don't care if it's thumbs up, thumbs down, smiley face, unsmiley face. Well, track about what your people tell you. Sentiment is really important. If you're sending stuff and you really have no clue as to how your subscribers actually feel about it, that's a problem. And you really should try to, right size that and start to track sentiment. You can track sentiment many different ways: inside the email, through surveys or regular based surveys, if you don't already do it, but maybe even just a surprise and delight sort of sentiment sort of tracking. A lot of debate about subscriber lifetime value. How much is it worth to your franchise or your association or your retail organization? And I have this specifically for franchise people because it's hard. It's hard to determine how much your value is worth from your subscribers. What happens after the click? We tend to focus on just the click and then the conversion, but what about if you are a business that requires content downloads or white papers or are selling software or are in the publishing industry? How far, how deep, how wide do they go into your site? Maybe they bounce off of a specific landing page. Maybe you're tracking post-click on a landing page. Maybe you're tracking post-click on your site, but that's really important. Then you can translate that into say, look, the email marketing program has influence on all of this. This value or revenue per email that you deliver, right? I don't care how you calculate your revenue. It could be in the form of dollars and cents. It can be in the form of page views. It can be in the performance of content downloads, but you have to attribute some sort of revenue or value for every single email that you deliver. So what you can say is, look, we could dial up the frequency or dial back the frequency. Our value or our revenue for every single email to be delivered is going to go in this direction or the other. Lastly, it's the conversion per email click. What we want to do is, it's not just focusing on the click, but how well are we converting, right? And conversion, again, meaning many different things. What happens if we put or focus on the click, move the CTA up or above, or make things specific? Maybe there's a landing page that you want to start tracking that has a better conversion than just sending them to the front page of your site or to the product or to the download in and itself. Again, adding that business value, tracking that back to the email marketing, to your email marketing stats, your programmatic stacks, is really, really important. Lastly, there's this thing called engagement score, and it's very similar to lead scoring, but engagement score is when you think about providing a score for every single user, or if you have segments based off of active, inactive, warm, hot, cool, cold, frozen, whatever the case may be, what you have to do is look at an engagement score. That engagement score can include things like clicks, conversion rates, can look to web page interactions. It can look and feed into your ESP. And then you can say, hey, look, these people are uber engaged or they're not. So that affects your content strategy. That affects your testing calendar. That affects a lot of different things so that you know what area to focus on. Oftentimes, when we start talking about segmentation, we only look at one or two different sort of metrics in order to have whether or not they are active, inactive, or however we define our activity or engagement sections. So, if you don't have an ESP that can help you with this, or don't have an ESP that has engagement score built in, I highly, highly encourage you to either A, seek a new ESP, ask your current ESP, or maybe even put a little plugin in for iPost that has engagement score for you're going to take a look at us. I want to wrap it up by saying, look, email marketing at the surface is easy to do. Anybody can do email marketing. You can whip up, get a list, buy a list, rent a list, have all these different ways to acquire an email address and start sending emails and start seeing the fruits of your labor. It is really easy to do, but it's hard to do it right. There's a lot of different things, many hundreds of different ways and things that you are responsible for as an email marketer. It's hard to do it right. And so I hope that you find value in this video. And just to add a little street credibility for myself and the things that I talk about, I've been in email 21 years. I've pushed buttons to 32 million people. I've assisted in being the chief strategist and owning and co-founding my own email marketing agency at Trendline Interactive and working on large scale programs that send billions and billions of emails a year. I joined iPost in August of 2020. I run all the customer engagement with all of our clients, all of marketing. So I think I have a pretty good perspective when it comes to sending email, not only just respectively, but responsibly. I'm an advocate for the subscriber. I've always been that way. And my experience and the things that I talk to you guys about in these videos is based off of practical experience and really working with hundreds and hundreds of clients over the last 21 years of my career. Look, if you like what you see, obviously hit the subscribe button. Visit us at iPost.com. There's resources, there's blog posts. You can get in contact with me. There's a free program called Evaluate, where we're able to evaluate your program. But just learn more at iPost. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And we'll hopefully see you next time.